December 1st, 2022, I had 2 suicidal thoughts in the same day, and it scared me. It scared me because where did they come from? I had no idea what hung in the balance of those thoughts on that day. The first thought occurred when I was running bathwater for my daughter. Just something I do every night, go get her ready for bed, run the bathwater. While running the bathwater, I remember having the thought, what if I just drown myself? And it's crazy that I had that thought because I didn't know how to swim. So drowning myself was a fear, but I was willing to have that negative thought to take me to that dark space to get to that ending. I was in a pit. I came out the bathroom, my husband was on the bed, and everything in me said, tell him. Normally I would have just brushed it off and not shared the story, tucked it away, act like it didn't happen, but something said tell him. And as he's scrolling on whatever social media that has his attention, I come out the bathroom and I say, hey, I just had a thought about drowning myself. He looks up from his phone, doom scrolling as we call it, and he says something to the effects of, oh, I wonder why you had that thought. And I'm like, me too. Yeah, brush it off. Let me go get the kid ready. You know, he doesn't do anything else. He doesn't hug me. He doesn't console me. He doesn't say, let's talk about it, nothing. And I don't blame him for that. That's fine. Later that night, because I was having a hard time sleeping, I could never sleep. So later that night, at 2 o'clock in the morning, which was my internal clock every night to wake up, at 2 o'clock in the morning, my alarm wakes me up. All the thoughts are racing in my head, and they are telling me, get the gun, go in your daughter's bathroom, and just do it. That's the only voice. That's the only sound. Those are the only words that echoed in my head. And I was ready. I was ready because I was tired. I was ready because what else was there? I was burnt out. I remember telling myself, just get up and go do it. And as I looked over, I can hear Daddy sound asleep, snoring. And I'm praying that he hears me get out of his bed and just stirs anything to just shake me out of this. But he doesn't. He continues to sleep. I get out of the bed and I know where our gun is. And as I'm headed there to get it, my child, who at the time never wakes herself up from sleep to use the bathroom, it was something she was so small, we had just started training her with. So it wasn't something she consistently did every night. So the expectation was that she wouldn't wake herself up and that we would have wet nights where we were washing the sheets every day. That's fine, that's parenting. But on this night, the night as I walked to get the gun from our safe, to go into her bathroom, to kill myself, it's the night God woke her up for the first, one of the very few times, and told her, go to the bathroom. And when you get there, say mommy. And that's it. As I'm walking to get the gun, I hear, do it, take the gun, it'll be fast. Aim here, mommy. And I couldn't believe it. For a quick second, I said, there's absolutely no way she's in that bathroom that I'm on my way in to do this. Yet, she was. I went into the restroom, I got her, I put her back to bed, and I held all my emotions in because that one cry, one small voice saved me in that moment. I went back to the room, crawled back in bed, and I cried uncontrollably next to my husband, who was sleeping as I was having the breakdown of all breakdowns next to him, had been warned earlier of the suicidal thoughts in my head. I got back in the bed and I bawled for 10 minutes, uncontrollably, until God said, go to ZocDoc and get some help. And that's what I did. Fast forward to June 1st, 2023. This is 6 months later. I'm back cruising. I think I have a grip on life. I'm in a good space, right? I'm functioning. I'm operating. I haven't went to jail. Haven't lost my job. Still got a couple friends. Life is good, right? It wasn't. Because unbeknownst to everyone in my life, June 1st, 2023 was a significant day for me. That meant that I would be turning 42 years old. And if I know correctly from what I was told, my father passed away at 42. And because of some misunderstandings I had around death and how it worked and when God took us, I had made myself believe that I would not see 43. So turning 42 was a big deal. It told me, and it started a clock for me that day, that between June 1st, 2023 and June 1st, 2024, any day could be my last day. And every day I woke up with a clock ticking time away every minute. And as the days ticked away, the feeling of freeness that I had, knowing that I was not going to be here within a year for whatever reason. I didn't have a clue on how it would happen, so I didn't have that, but it was literally just in my head. I was very, very sick. I was so sick in my mind. And the things I believed and the things that were in me, I get it now. I get it now as I unraveled and dug back and pulled out those roots. I get it now. But then I did not get it. So as the days creep by and I was losing days and then weeks and months, I lost it. I started partying every night. I was drinking. I was hanging out. I was running up tabs. I was blowing it all. I was having a full-blown affair. I didn't care. It was open. I was going out with a bang. If I'm crashing, I'm going out my way. Okay? That was my plan. Nobody in my life at the time had the love for me that I needed during that year. Because that year, all my behaviors was unlike me. Everything I did was reckless. And I'm a very stable-minded person. I don't have a lot. I come from very little. So the little I got, I am holding on to it. Because if I lose it, I'm back down. I don't have a big savings account. I don't have money to do extra things. I am living like so many other Americans. And so for me to just be balling and recklessly spending money, nobody thought to say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the biggest thing was I gained so much weight in front of people. I gained so much weight. Yes, I had a baby, okay? But before I had a baby, I also was very much into the gym, very much into shape, and I went through postpartum. And I get that, and I've been trying to lose the weight. But I had lost the weight and got in a really good place. And within that year, I had ballooned out of control. And no one called me on it. No one loved me enough to say, hey, what's happening here? Why are you going back that way? You worked too hard to come this far. Stop, pump the brakes. No one did that. So here I am trucking along this year thinking, nobody cares. I'm completely invisible anyway. I'm running up debt. I'm huge. I'm not going to the doctor. Nobody cares. I'm drinking. I'm doing all the things. Only thing I had going was I had a job. I kept my job. But who cares about a job? Because I knew that whenever the day happened, they was gonna have a posting up the next week looking for my replacement. So what was the value in it? There was absolutely none. So that year that I was spending crashing out, I was calling out for help too. I was keeping hope. People was holding me to the same standards that they held the version of me that they thought was healthy, which none of me was healthy. I don't think I've ever experienced health until I turned 44, until I became this person, until I found this version of me. Everything else has been sick, and every year of my life I've been sick and getting sicker, until eventually I became so sick that it was life or death I had to choose from. So, just imagine from June 1st, 2023, up until June 1st, 2024, I'm just living reckless. And nobody's calling me on it. June 1st, 2024 was the birthday that I would see or I wouldn't. So if I just kept the faith long enough, I would make plans in hopes of seeing the plans happen. I didn't have hope because I was so sick in my mind that I had made myself believe I wouldn't see 43. But at the same time, I was hopeful that the God I had known and had come to love over the years would somehow have some compassion for me. Despite all the pain and all the things that I had done that He is fully aware of. Maybe other people may not be aware of the things inside of me, but He fully is aware of those things. So hopefully He would have some compassion. And in that, if He would have compassion, when I turn 43, I would take a look at my life and I would reassess. I would do it. I would do whatever it was. So I had hope, but I didn't. I believed, but I didn't. I didn't because I was out here still living reckless. I was going out with a bang. Well, guess what? I'm here, right? So, because I had crashed out so bad, financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, in that year that I thought I was gonna die, when I thought, my hands was up, I gave up. In that year, so many things had to be addressed when I turned 43. So many things had to be addressed as to why my faith was so small, when all He required is faith the size of a mustard seed. Why was my faith so small? And I had to have an honest conversation and say, well, maybe I don't know what faith really is. Maybe I don't have faith the way I thought I had faith. Because if I did, then I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't find me and my husband trying to figure out, do we file for bankruptcy? Or do we do a debt consolidation because you decided to have an affair and blow all the money as if you were just gonna leave him here in the pits? Just so many bad decisions. Why did I think that behavior was okay? Why do I think it's okay to make a mess and to leave this world reckless? That was unacceptable to God. So I had so much to confront. In a way, yes, I was hopeful. Please, let me see 43. But also, if you hold me to what I said I was going to do, I hope I'm ready. And I assure you guys, I was not ready. I was not ready. But what God wasn't ready for is the crash and burn that I would take, and the lack of faith I would show him, the pure, utter disrespect I would show him for a whole year. I stopped going to church. I stopped doing everything that was right to society. I hid behind closed doors and did everything. I dabbled in everything. Only thing I was open with was the affair that I was having, when that should have been the most private thing. I was openly going in with that. It's the craziness that really had me questioning, like, who am I? Who am I? So, after coming out of that year and surviving, I turned 43, June 1st, 2024, I had made it. What happened next was within a month, I had planned the trip to San Francisco. I said, hey, I'm going to go on a solo trip, which honestly, I wasn't solo, and this is the first time my husband is going to hear that. I wasn't solo. She was with me. But that's neither here nor there right now. But what did happen on that trip is God showed me something. He showed me that even though I had did wrong, that there is a peace that's going to be so rewarding and so fulfilling on the other side of this. If I just stay the course. If I just stay the course. And it's going to be hard. And it's going to be scary. But I'm going to ask you to do some things. And you're going to learn how to trust me. You're going to learn how to have faith. And you're going to learn how to believe. And you know how I know you're going to do that? Because I can see what's inside of you. It was as if he was speaking to me clear as day. I went on that trip. I had a day to myself before I left, where I was able to go back to the safe space there that just brought me so much peace and good energy. And I talked to God and had a personal conversation with him. And when I came back, July 30th, 2024, is when I made the decision. As a middle child of 13, I still have 11 living siblings. One has passed away. My mom is still living. My father has passed away. I have hundreds of nieces, nephews, cousins, all the things. So I have a very extended family line. But on July 30th, 2024, I made the decision to cut the family off completely. God told me that is the biggest issue with you. I need you to cut them off because I need my voice to be the loudest one in your head and in your ear and in your heart. And I did that. I did that. I cut them off. I changed my phone number the same day, and it was a monumental day. And it's crazy that it happened that day because I have two older sisters, whose birthday is on July 30th. And so they normally would have heard from me. You know, I always call my siblings on their birthday. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to hear me tell them I love them. I want them to know that I'm celebrating them even here. What do you need? Happy birthday. Enjoy your day. I hope you go out and enjoy yourself. That wasn't always reciprocated. And in that, I knew that that day was absolutely monumental. And for me to make a statement on that day really was like me cutting the head off the monster. I would be shutting down two of the biggest people who have really just not been who and what they should have been in my life, my mother and my older sister. But I always try to have an understanding with them. God said, no more understandings. You're going to have faith. And regardless of your faith, if you're fearing the consequences of their wrath, then you don't have faith in me. So you're gonna have to quit that. So how you do that is you cut the family off. I remember going to my husband, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. Hey, change the numbers. And I said it, and I wasn't expecting him to do it. But he went ahead and he did it. And I'm glad he did it because he called me on it. Because he knew if he procrastinated or gave me a second minute to think about it, it was something I could push off. That's just how I operated. I'm good for pushing anything off. And in this moment, God was like, you're not gonna push anything off. Go ahead and make that call on her and put her in a bind. If she is going to do what I said do, let's test it. And I remember feeling the angst of like, I didn't, but ooh, so fast, ooh. But once it was done, the peace. And I just wanted a year. That's what I said. My reach out to them was, hey, I need a year off from you all. I need to work on me. I need to find out what's going on with me. And that message was not received with love at all by anyone in the family. It was not received with anything, which lets me know it was okay. It was okay for me to do it. And why was I so afraid to do it? Why did I wait this long? I should have been did it. I knew I needed to do that. That's why I lived here. That's why I fought so hard to stay here in Atlanta and not go back to Chicago, which is where I'm originally from and which is where all my family is. If they ever moved here, Lord, I would have to go somewhere else because I don't want that. It's the way I separate and keep my sanity. Because whenever they're near, whenever I'm around them too long, I lose me. And God knew that. And he's like, if I need her near to me, then she has to understand that it's time for her to step outside the herd. Is she brave enough to do it? And I was. I was because I had nothing else to lose. I had lost everything. We were broke. We were barely able to pay rent. I'm out in California, in San Francisco, blowing bags, blowing money. Money I knew I didn't have. And it just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. And so I found myself now here. Okay, so I cut the family off. What else? What else do you want me to do? Oh, well, guess what? We're going to address all that trauma inside of you. I'm going to have people call you and say things to you. I'm going to have things come up. You're going to get emails. You're going to have to just dig inside of you and make it all work. Figure it out. Figure out why you have these jealous tendencies against people doing better than you. You can be doing the same thing. Why do you talk about people? Why do you look at people with any eyes other than love? The same love you deserve to be looked at. He challenged me with that. And all of that made me look internal, and dig up the trauma that was inside of me, that made me that person at the end of the night where I was like, who am I? Oh my God, why did I say that? Why do I act like this? It's painful to know that there is so much ugliness inside of you and you don't even know why. You have to go inside of you and get that. So in my healing, in the silence, he awakened something in me that had been completely lost. My creative side. I have been writing since I was 14. The day my dad passed away, I tell you, I was reading a written, made up, what we're gonna do for summer vacation story that I had wrote. I was sharing it with the after school class when they came in to tell me to go home the day my father passed. And I knew from that day that that was my gift. I would write movie scripts, I could write songs, I could write just anything, poetry, anything, just effortlessly. It came so effortless and beautiful, good quality work. And never did anything with it. Just writing it for myself with no aspirations on how to get it out to the masses or even any attempts. I was totally fine just being able to tell people, yeah, I like to write movie scripts. That sounds cool. Yeah, but what are you doing with it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Hoping somebody I accidentally mess around with is give me a handout, give me a name. No, that's not, you don't need that. When God gives you a talent, your talent gets open every door. Your talent opens every door. I did not believe that. So I went along with this creativity and it had passed. It had passed. I lost my creativity, I want to say in 2010. I would dabble in writing stuff here and there just to say I still did it, but I didn't. I didn't have any desire for it. I didn't see it taking me anywhere. It would be just something I like to do on the side for nobody's entertainment. And God said, well, knock, knock. Let's get this trauma from off the top of that creativity and let me pour into you. Healthy, spiritually, all the things that you need to reawaken that creativity. And he did. He did. He reawakened it so much in a way that I had never even utilized it. Notice I said I could write movie scripts, songs, poetry, but never did I think I would write a book. This book, Do Your Duty, is an invitation for you to have an honest conversation with yourself. It's long overdue, but it is a gut check. It's a health check. It is you taking yourself off of life support because we are all just surviving and barely holding on. We are all trying to fit in lanes and in spaces and in rooms that we have no business in. We don't even want to be in those rooms and we are still trying to get in them just for clout, just for people to look at us and think something of us. But who are the people? The people that are here, eye to eye with us? These are the people we should try to be neighbors with. We don't want them to feel like we're so much bigger than them. No, because these aren't the people. Because social media has given us access to the world, that is who we are competing with. We're not competing with the people in our neighborhoods. We don't even send our kids to the schools in the neighborhoods if we don't think it's a good school. Well, if we continue to send our kids out of the neighborhood, then how does the neighborhood schools become good? It doesn't, because we're trying to keep up with people that are in different tax brackets and in different areas and arenas of life than we are. It just doesn't make sense for us to operate like that. And so God challenged me to stop living like that and live right here in front of you. No social media, no distractions around you. Conversation with yourself, front and center. Call yourself to the red table that everybody loved watching Jada call people to. Call yourself to the red table. You are on trial, and I am the judge. What a hard conversation that was for me to have with myself. And boy, oh boy, was it a hard conversation for God. Because I couldn't lie to him anymore. I was done. I had nothing. I had nothing and no one. I was the reason for everything that had happened, and I had to own up to that for once. And for once, when you own up to it, then you can ask for help and surrender and know where to go and get it. So I took a year and I dug up that trauma inside of me. All the things that I thought he was holding against me and that he was punishing me for. He's not punishing you. God is not punishing you for anything. There's no punishment happening. That was a hard pill for me to swallow. And what he did for us on the cross, Jesus on the cross, is enough. But I couldn't see that. I didn't understand that. He showed me all of that in a year. You dig up the trauma and I will reawaken you so that you can become who I created you to be. I told you, since I was 14, I knew I wanted to write. I want to write a movie. I want to write a song. I want to write a book of poetry. A book of poetry, not a book of trauma. And not any trauma, not made up fairy tale trauma. Oh, let me say this happened so that they could pull at people's heartstrings. No, this is real trauma that occurred to a real human who is now standing in front of you, showing you real faith and real belief that despite all the things I did in here, and there's more to the story. But even despite all this ugly, God is still faithful if you truly believe. And how do you show you truly believe? You take your hands off. You take your hands off and you let him put his hands. And you let him drive. And you go blind. And you go blind. You don't veer out. You don't step out. You just trust. You take your hands off. And the more you take your hands off, the more weight you shed. The more weight he sheds. The more lighter you feel. The more peace you feel. The more comfort you have. The more energy you feel about life. Everything just becomes so clearer. You pray different. You ask for wisdom. You truly seek it. You understand it and you know what to do with it. You don't take the information with a grain of salt. You take the information that you prayed for and you do something with it. That's what he calls you to do. That's showing him you trust him. It's not just going to be a cakewalk. You don't just get to sit back and he just does everything. There are tasks on the way. My first task was, you're going to write this book for me. You're going to write this book because there are people out there that need to know that there's nothing they can do that will pull them too far away from me and that I'm always coming back for them. Why my story? It is disgusting, it is ugly, it's embarrassing. I already don't have friends. I don't have anybody I can talk to right now. I have garage parties every night alone. I don't have anybody. And you want me to put out something so ugly that more people can run away from me? This is gonna put a big target on my back. He said yes. You know why? Because it brings all the honor to him and takes the honor off of me. Because it shows his goodness at the end, not mine. Do your duty. Take a year. Dig up the trauma inside of you and watch what your God is able to do with you and through you. I stand here today, 2 days from releasing this book, 2 days from walking away from my corporate job that I've been comfortably holding on to, I'll say, for 11 years. I am walking away from that safety net into the unknown because that's what God calls me to do. And if I'm going to show him I have faith in him, it means walking the path least traveled.